Welcome to episode 2 of the miniseries Fighting the Stigma. I'm Chuck Allen. This is Eric Buss.
What's up?
And what we're going to be doing today is we're going to run through a topic, man. Like we said we were going to do. We've talked a little bit about it, and we've decided that we're going to go with Reflections number 6. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to show a little bit of it, and Eric's going to go ahead and read through it, and then we're going to talk about it. So take it away, brother.
Yep. All right. So, Sunday Reflections number 6 is about anxiety. Definitely something that I resonate with. I think a lot of us experience it. Veteran or not, like it's one of the sort of common human emotions that we all sort of experience, some to a greater degree. Some to a quite uncomfortable degree. I'm definitely one of those people. So I wrote something about it. So I'll get into it. At first, it's just uncomfortable, a low hum, hard to pinpoint, but something's not right. A tightness in the chest. I'm not sure what came first, the thoughts or the feeling, but they're connected. Fuck, I forgot to do that report. I'm gonna be fired. Probably not. But maybe, fuck, chest is getting tighter. Quick, think of something else. I should really start that diet. I've been eating like shit lately. Palms feel sweaty. Is it hot in here? I should probably do something. I don't feel like doing shit. My neck hurts. It's getting hard to breathe. Am I a good husband? Am I a good father? I probably don't spend enough time with my family. I'm on the phone too much. Fuck. When did I start pacing? I should get to that report. It's already late. I can't focus now. Fuck, it's hard to breathe. Okay, now it hurts. I feel like I could literally jump out of my skin. Why does this always happen? I'm gonna fail. I'm gonna lose everything. I'm gonna lose everyone. Why do I even try? Fuck! Fuck anxiety. The details change, but the feeling, it's the same. An overwhelming sense of constriction, pervasive fear of loss, fear that I'm not good enough, a fear of the future. I feel the fear that the world is going to come crashing down around me. Fear does not exist in the present. The physical aspect of anxiety is uncomfortable, even painful in a sense. But the thoughts, they're the true killer. Thought, especially when self-deprecating, is enticing. Its usefulness lies in preparedness. If we understand our flaws and remember our mistakes, maybe we'll do better in the future. If we can predict catastrophe, maybe we can prevent it. To the undamaged psyche, this is easily managed, easily contained. Then trauma comes in and screws it all up. Maybe we didn't get the support we needed when we needed it. Maybe we experienced abuse. Maybe we went to war before even finishing puberty. Whatever the cause, it still affects us. Causes us to remain in a state of hypervigilance, ready to fight or run, when all we're doing is fighting ourselves. What if I were to just feel the anxiety without attaching the thought? What if I were to allow the thoughts to come and go without clinging to them, without taking them personal? I think then I could tolerate the sensation of anxiety until it passes. It always passes. That is the practice of mindfulness, observing thought and letting it pass like the clouds overhead, choosing to remain grounded in the present.
Okay, so that's going to be the topic that we're rocking with today, anxiety. I know it's something that everyone in one level or another kind of probably deals with, and there's a lot of ways to deal with it. But I would like to actually start each one of these after Eric reads them and maybe ask him a little bit about where his head was at when he wrote it. And then I can tell him a little bit about my past with anxiety.
I kind of have a thought though. Since I know where I was at the time and I can connect with that because I wrote it, I'm actually really curious to hear how you feel about it without my influence.
That's a good idea. Yeah, that's not
right.
Good. All right.
Yeah. So kick it off and then we'll rap about it.
Okay, absolutely. So I can relate to a lot within that writing, but not all of it. Obviously, my history with anxiety goes back as long as I can remember. Now, I can definitely say that when I was younger, it took its forms a lot differently than it does now. I just used to be very very scared in my own skin to go outside the box or say anything around other people that would maybe be thought of as stupid or whatever. And that would cause me like deep fear. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily be afraid of much my whole life, but I was always super afraid of saying or doing something in front of people that would make me look like I wasn't cool, wasn't smart, wasn't whatever. Yep. Now, I know that that's definitely something that is across the board with most people, but it was kind of the one isolated thing that always kind of drove me in my past to do or not do things. You know what I mean? It was the fear of looking like I was dumb was always more than anything. I don't really care about, looking cool that much. I mean, everybody does, but it was more about like, I didn't want to say something stupid. That's me, whatever, which is kind of interesting for me to transition to doing stuff like this, because it's scary as fuck doing stuff like this when you're worried about saying something stupid. But like I said,
I can relate.
Yeah, as I went forward in life, that fear kind of subsided, as you can tell, as I'm pretty okay with speaking my mind now. But my anxiety changed to a physical reaction, like you were talking about the chest tightening and, oh shit, I got to do this, but it became a physical reaction.
Right.
So yeah, right around the time that I knew that I wasn't going to get back with the state of California, which was, anybody can watch the first video on my channel, and I talk a little bit about that. That was like the roughest time in my life, because I didn't have a job. I had my life set. I had a career. That was it. I worked for the state, man, and I was high up.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, all that shit's gone. Everything's gone. The house, the job, everything was gone. So I started getting panic attacks, and panic attacks stem from anxiety attacks. Yeah. So, before I go any further, do you have any insight on is there a difference between a panic attack and an anxiety attack?
I mean, there's general anxiety disorder, a general anxiety where you kind of have that tightness in the chest all the time. Okay. And then you'll have, sort of anxiety episodes or intermittent type of anxiety, which I think has its own term. But anyway, a panic attack is like the apex.
Okay.
And so
that's what I was having. I didn't ever have that feeling in my body ever until I had my first panic attack. And it was like,
you felt like you were going to die, right?
absolutely.
Yeah. It feels like a heart attack.
I was having a heart attack. They thought I was having a heart attack. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they gave me nitroglycerin and shit, and they were fucking, they put me in the ER and all that shit. And that was the first time. And then it's, and it wasn't something that happened a lot. It happened, every 6 months, maybe once every 3 months, not even that much, you know what I mean? But it was certainly something that was horrific, and I would not wish on anybody. It's the worst feeling that I've ever felt in my life. It feels like for me at least, the physical is the worst part of it for me. Right. Because not being able to stop it is also, it's that feeling of being confined within your skin, and you can't do fucking shit about it, and you're in pain, and your brain is going 5,000 miles a second, know? And so about 2 months ago, I guess, is when I had my episode where, the issue with the gun and all that, and that stemmed from a panic attack. But it wasn't a normal panic attack, because I was having about 2 or 3 of them a week at that point, because shit was going bad. But I had a panic attack that started at 6 p.m. and was still going by 3 a.m. So they sent me down to the ER. They had to pump me full of all the fucking sedatives and all that kind of shit. Wow. And that's what originally got me there was anxiety, and severe fucking terrible anxiety, to get me to that point, Yeah. So, but yeah, as far as the writing goes, I definitely like the way that you wrote it in kind of the first person, like having that inner dialogue. Yeah. So I can relate to that a lot, because I'm nothing but inner dialogue. If you had to live 5 minutes inside my fucking head, you'd take a gun and put it in your mouth too. Trust me. You know what I mean?
I'm right there with you. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, it's just like always going. And
Yeah.
the way you ended it.
Yeah.
The way that you ended it with, you know, talking about, you know, mindfulness and ways to kind of slow down. I really like that. Like I've said in the past, though, that's not necessarily something that 100% works for me. But I think that's kind of the point of a lot of this is to talk about all the things, you know?
Yeah, no, and we'll get into that section too, because I think mindfulness is really a broad term for a lot of things you can do to get at it. You know, mindfulness in and of itself, we're not necessarily talking about meditation.
No,
it could be, but we're talking about looking at the root causes of what's bringing this out of us. You know, of course, there's theories and ideas that this is a chemical imbalance and things like that. And that may be true. You know, there may be a lot of people that have this chemical imbalance. But even so, even if you do have that, there are tools to address the emotional and the cognitive piece of that, so that it has less power. And that's kind of what I'm talking about in the writing. Is what if I experience this anxiety without the thoughts?
You know? So yeah, you know, that was the one. Thank you for bringing that up, because I did want to ask you about that. I've never thought about it in that way, and I'm still actually in my mind trying to wrap my head around. Explain that to me. So now that we get a little bit of the history of my anxiety, and we can talk a little bit about ways that I've counteracted it later, but unpackage that for me a little bit, because I think that's a really rad concept, but it's, you know, it's something that's kind of a little bit deeper and maybe harder to grasp.
Well, okay, so I actually have a really cool example, and it's not about me. But my wife actually, and it's something that she's sort of overcome in the last few years. But when we first got together, I tried to get her in the gym with me, right? And so we would start working out, and about 15 minutes into the workout, she would start feeling a panic attack. She'd start feeling like you know, like just completely shut down. And ultimately, like I didn't know how to hold space for it, and so we got in a little bit of an argument, because I'm like, just you know, like whatever.
Oh yeah.
So we've both kind of grown over the years to understand what's happening there. And she's actually overcome it, and she's killing it in the gym, which is really fucking cool. But you know, it was interesting, because as soon as she started to feel her heart rate elevate, you know, and you start sweating a little bit, you start getting out of breath a little bit, then it's sort of like the association with that.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. So did she have a history of having anxiety beforehand, and then just the physical reaction of the working out, which is kind of the same kind of physical reaction you get when you're at that point in your mind? It just conflated them both to a point where one was kind of making the other one fire up or whatever.
Yeah, there's triggers, you know. Yeah. And interestingly, she is not someone who I'd say suffers from anxiety on a regular. Yeah. This was like an acute.
Just an isolated.
It was really isolated. But and she had a personal trainer who was a meditation teacher, and actually he was really good at helping her get through those. And
that's cool. That's awesome.
Yeah. But so that's what's interesting, is that you have this physiological thing that's happening in your body, and then the attachment, the thought is I'm having a panic attack. This is not okay. Something's wrong with my body right now, right? Yeah. And that thought, just that thought, can spin off into this whole dialogue, you know, where it ends up stopping you dead in your tracks. And for her, it was working out, and it really made it difficult for her to get to the gym, because it's like, you know, like this.
Yeah, and once it happens once, then it's here. Then it's here.
Well, and that's something, and we can get into that too, because I like to think of neuronal pathways as a creek or a river or whatever. Water flows through the path of least resistance, right? And so once you make an association, once you carve out a neuronal pathway, it's there, and you've got a little stream. And the more you feed it, the stronger that pathway, the bigger the stream goes. And you look at the Grand Canyon, right? So you had this river that cut for so long. It's so incredibly deep, and it's really, you know, it's hard to bridge that motherfucker.
Absolutely. No, yeah, 100%, man.
So some of the tools that are in there is really about building a dam.
Yeah.
Right. So
Yeah.
you've got this driven neuronal pathway that says, when this happens, I respond this way. Right. And it happens over and over and over again. And it's a thought process. And without awareness, without kind of understanding what's happening, and without awareness of what the thoughts are and what the responses are, and kind of all those things, it just keeps happening, you know? And those are the situations where we look back, and I know you've got a ton, I've got a fucking ton, where I'm like, why the fuck did I do that? You know, like, what the fuck was I doing? Like, holy shit. And that's what it is, finding out the why, and addressing it. And so I do talk about meditation as a practice of building dams, where basically all you're doing is you feel in your body this this constraint or this anxiety or whatever, and instead of allowing the thought to attach and go all the way through, you will allow the thought to come up and pass, up and pass. And so you're breaking that association. You are building a dam for that neuronal pathway, and the water is going to go somewhere else. You know what I mean? And
that's a great thought. But see, what I can say for me, which is kind of rough with that, is that I kind of wish that I had a trigger. I kind of wish that I knew what it was that would cause these things to happen to me. But the problem with mine was, and I don't know how it works for anybody else, I know that a lot of people do have like a trigger like that, like, I've got to go to work and do a presentation today. Oh, that's going to give me anxiety. I'm going to freak out.
Right.
What was happening with me, though, which was the scariest part, which is why I originally, and also the doctors originally thought I was having issues with my heart, was that I literally, and I've tried to imagine what the fuck it is, I literally would have them out of nowhere, and not even when I was going through like times of stress. It was just a thing that all of a sudden would happen.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that was one of the worst parts about it, was just, I would wake up sometimes in the middle of the night for no reason and be in the middle of one. Or I would drop off my kids at school and be sitting here having breakfast, and I'd have one. You know what I mean? Almost nothing to correlate it to, nothing to attach it to.
That's your aware of.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
You know, absolutely. I guarantee there's something, but it's just when there's nothing that you can put it together with. You know what I mean? Like tangibly. That was what was scary for me, you know.
So then you raised the question of how do we attack the subconscious? Now there's several arguments about like what you're going through. It could be just a purely physiological experience. I doubt it.
No.
You know, but the possibility is there. You know, my argument would be that there is stuff happening subconsciously, and we're not aware. So it bubbles up, and just triggers this whole thing. And I think the longer you pay attention to it, you'll start seeing the cues. But the real question is how do we attack the subconscious?
Oh yeah.
You know, because you can't just think your way into it. You know, I'm not going to be anxious. I decided right now I'm not going to feel anxiety, and I'm going to go on with my day. It doesn't fucking work.
Right. And believe me, I tried that. You know, and I consider myself to be very strong-willed, and I have a pretty keen mind. You know, even after trying to destroy it with everything I could possibly destroy it with.
Yeah.
But I definitely, the first few times, once I realized I wasn't having heart attacks, that I was having panic attacks, was I in my mind, I thought, fuck this. No, I can make this shit stop. And it just, nope. I sure couldn't. All I could do was ride it out. And then eventually, more towards the end of them, which I haven't had one since I've been at the hospital and I'm on medication. And obviously my mindset is a billion times better than it has been. But towards the end of it, I started understanding I need to breathe. I need to be present in the space that I'm in now. I need to not think about the end of this. I need to not think about the beginning of this. I need to not think about the cause of this. I need to be right here, right now.
Right.
And just fucking be in myself.
Yeah. Just be with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. However uncomfortable it is.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So, you know, I don't know that I could have written that 10 years ago. Because it's taken a long time just to even recognize that I'm going down this path. You know, that this thought process is kind of taking me, and so that's what some of the work, some of the practice has helped me with. Definitely sit down meditations, but I know that's not going to fit for everybody. But there's other things that I do quite often, that sort of help bring up the awareness, but also address the subconscious kind of thinking.
Yeah.
Affirmations. Affirmations are fucking great. When my mind is stuck on something, so this is, you could call it a meditation, and it sort of is, but you know, I'll close my eyes and I'll breathe in and out through my nose, and I'll just repeat the words "let go." Let
Really?
on the inhale, go on the exhale. Let on the inhale, go on the exhale, and I'll feel my body start to you know, down regulate. You know, so this isn't a 20-minute sit down hearing fucking bells and chimes and all that shit.
The sounds of the fucking jungle in the background. None of that.
Yeah. No, this is a compassionate response to what my body and my mind are going through right now. And I say a compassionate response because that's going to be kind of key. Is we're not saying a command. We're not saying let go, motherfucker. Why do you fucking always do this? Yeah. We're saying it's okay to let go. It's okay. You know, I don't have to hold on to this.
And you know, that's true. But that is something that I would do too. You know, like I was saying more towards the end of but it was never like a specific thing. Like I would always find something in that moment.
Yeah.
As my mind is going 4 billion miles an hour, I could pick something out of there, whatever it was. I know one time I was having one, and I started thinking about like baseball or some shit, and I just started thinking baseball. That's usually what people use not to, like, you know, but you know, like whatever it was just whatever I could pick out real quick, and just as I was reading, just focus.
Yeah. And distraction is definitely a great tool for in the moment. I do like addressing versus distraction more so that the next time maybe it doesn't come up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
totally.
like creating habits and tools that hopefully over time decrease the you know, the anxiety or the panic attacks or whatever it is. And so distraction,
that 100% makes sense. Like,
yeah,
you know, because it's not like, you know, like I was saying, it's not always just about being right. It's also about building up for tomorrow. You know what I mean? Like making sure that you understand what's happening, and you can maybe give it a little bit more thoughtfulness the next time.
Yeah. And of course, if that works for you, I'd never tell you to stop doing it. You know what I mean? Yeah. So this is more just a conversation about different.
Oh, 100%.
If that shit's working for you, fucking do it for as long as it is.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what I can say right now is, you know, and it's something that I talk about a lot because, and especially like I love all the really cool things that I'm getting from Eric and I'm getting from other people and hearing. But I do want to address, because there's always the stigma that I talk about a lot around medication. But I have found that the medication has been a huge help for me.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And I know that it goes in conjunction with my the way I'm thinking and my change of attitude. But there's also that, and I'm very cognizant of it.
Yeah.
You know, and it doesn't make me feel any different. It doesn't, you know what I mean? I just know that it's there, and whether, hell, it could possibly, I mean, it's not, but it could be a fucking sugar pill. And the fact that I know it's there is definitely helping.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I was on about 10 different medications. I was over medicated.
Exactly. And I have one. I take one pill every day. That's it.
Yeah. And so I think some of the stigma comes from doctors doing too much, you know, and that'll be a later episode when we start talking about money and
right.
You know,
exactly.
But yeah, there's, you know, follow the paper on that. But at the same time, again, it's just another tool. It's just another tool.
Exactly.
Every tool is going to have side effects. You've got to weigh, you know, what's the, you know, benefit to
the risk reward.
yeah, the ratio.
Yeah.
So, but absolutely, I've got no problem with medications. I haven't been on meds for 8 years, maybe 8 years.
Nice.
And it's been good, but I feel like they really helped at the beginning just to sort of get my balance.
Yeah.
And during that time is when I started cultivating these other tools.
Exactly.
When I weaned myself off of all the craziness, like I was able to kind of maintain, and there was an adjustment period there too.
100%. Yeah, and that's and what's cool about this whole thing is that that's where you were then, but that's kind of where I am now. I mean, obviously, I'm right at the beginning of this, and I'm just learning stuff, and I'm trying new things, and I'm I'm taking this from here, seeing what works. If it doesn't, throw it the fuck out. You know what I mean? But so far, man, things have been going really good. Like, today, I honestly, I was feeling a little bit anxious today, nothing like crazy or whatever. And I was watching a podcast that I like or whatever, and they had talked a little bit about the physical aspect of getting through some of that stuff. Mm-hmm. That's something me and Eric have talked about a lot. As far as a healthy physical body can lead to a healthy physical mind or a healthy mind.
So I'll connect.
So yeah, I mean, I went out and I ran today. It was
that's
fucking
awesome.
Died, but it was
I got
it was good, and I felt better. The tightness in my chest was from the fucking 30-degree air, not from anxiety. You know what I mean?
No, and we've talked about that before. I have plenty of days where I'm going through emails for work or whatever, and I'm sitting and I'm stationary and I'm just. I can feel myself upregulating, and all of a sudden I'm not paying attention and I'm pacing in the living room, not even realizing it. I might have my phone in my hand, but I'm fucking pacing. It's usually at that point that if I'm able to, I'll get to the gym and I'll just work out that energy. I don't know that always there's a cause for it. Maybe there is, but definitely exhausting your nervous system, is going to help calm you down,
Yeah. That's what I noticed. I mean, I didn't go too crazy today because it's kind of, I walk every day to walk the kids to school, and that's, not that far. But today, I actually jogged and I went a couple miles or whatever, and I came back and it was like, I feel pretty good, man.
And the endorphins, man, the endorphins that's a real fucking thing. The best drugs you can take, your body makes.
Absolutely. And all the best drugs that they sell on the street are just derivatives of what your body makes.
Right. That's what
Pretty much,
Fucking I mean, methamphetamine binds to dopamine receptors. Dopamine is your pleasure center, but more accurately, it's your priority system. And so that's why people get so addicted, is because it actually binds to those receptors. It mimics dopamine.
Yeah.
Boom, it's stuck. So you're getting this mad shot of priority. This is number one priority, and that's why you see, parents that don't take care of the kids because they're out getting drugs. It's not even. Oh, how could you do that as a mother? It's like that's what fucking drugs do. That's what they do, man. So
I can 100% agree with that because it's it's a shit road to go down, man.
Yeah.
But at the time, you don't even realize it.
Right.
And I can tell you right now, I never had any anxiety when I was on fucking drugs.
I was going to say that too. That was one of the reasons I couldn't write that 10 years ago, is because I didn't have language around anxiety. My tools were, get fucked up. Just I can fix this.
Yeah.
I can fucking fix this right now, and there's going to be consequences afterwards, but fuck the consequences. I need to feel better now, right now, and so I'm not playing a long game, if you ask me if I would be around with fucking 3 kids at 38, like still breathing, fuck no.
Hell no, dude. Hell no.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, when I was 28 years old, 10 years ago, hell no.
I mean, yeah, 10 years ago was basically, that's when I made the decision that I was going to keep living.
Yep.
So that was, my 20s. I didn't think I was going to make it.
Absolutely not. Not even a little bit.
Not if I had anything to say about it.
All right.
But so there's that, you know, as far as the physical aspects, definitely working out and endorphins are fucking really great tools. Also, you know, your diet. They say you are what you eat, and there are studies that show you know, a correlation between sugar and depression. You
That's
know,
what's next.
yeah. So sugar also triggers dopamine. That, you know, and so when we were in the fucking in the wild, and we were, you know, like not a civilized people or whatever, you find something with sugar in it, that meant you lived for a day. Like that
Mm-hmm.
is quick
Mm-hmm.
acting energy. Boom,
Absolutely.
I've got it. You know, really useful. But
Yeah.
when you have access to and it's not even sugar,
No,
it's
that's the problem.
corn
It's all
syrup.
these like refined sugars and complex carbohydrates that aren't that, but they do the same thing, but without any of the benefits.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, like the corn syrup is like one of the worst things because at least with sugar, it takes your body a step to break it down to energy. But corn syrup, it doesn't even take that. Like
It's just like,
it's there.
mm,
Yeah, and so there's a subtle high that comes with it, and there's a come down. You know,
yeah,
there's a response. So if you're feeling a lot of anxiety and a lot of depression, and you're eating a lot of sugar, I know that's a coping strategy for a lot of people too, is eating, but watching what you eat, and you know, even shifting to a more like paleo
yeah. You know what's
diet.
weird is that in the past, you know, I've never been a sweets guy ever. Like even when I was a kid, I didn't want no fucking, I
Yeah,
didn't want ice cream, I didn't want nothing. But
right.
in the past like couple of months, now that I've been getting better, I find myself craving sugar stuff, which is
Yeah.
weird. And that's what, you know, like I'm breaking out because I'm eating too much sugar, and I need to.
Well, here's the thing too, and I mean, this is, you know, my guess why this is happening is because you're getting into the work. You've spent a lot of time, you know, and I'm this is just I guess you can tell me fuck off, but you spent a lot of
You know
time.
me.
Yeah,
Come on.
you spend a lot of time kind of avoiding a lot of these emotions and thoughts and things like that. When now I've noticed a significant change just in talking to you,
Yeah.
where you're starting to look at these things. Well, that's not a comfortable process always. You know, like
You know
that.
what's comfortable? Oreo cookies.
Right. So yeah, you're like, oh fuck, like this is a little bit overwhelming.
Mm-hmm.
You know, let me eat some motherfucking Oreos.
Right?
You know,
All the fucking Oreos, bro.
yeah,
All of them.
yeah. You know, I'm not gonna say it's something that you completely have to avoid, but being aware of it, like, am I eating
Right?
this?
I mean, that's a good first step. I understand that. And I'm like,
Yeah.
you know,
Even picking it up and going, why am I eating this?
every
You know,
time, every time I pick up the whole bag and I'm like, why is this in my hand? Oh, fuck.
yeah. So before you do that, let yourself answer. No matter what the
I
answer is,
know.
yeah. Either way, just eat it anyway. Fuck it. But like, what's the answer? Am I doing it to cope? Am I doing it because I really just want something fucking sweet? Am
Yeah.
I doing it because I'm feeling empty and I want to feel full? You know, like, and really just kind of analyze it. Again, that is mindfulness.
Right.
Even that question and answering that question for yourself, that is fucking mindfulness. That is why I'm doing what I'm doing in this present moment, not being attached to the answer. You know, like
That is the best description that because I mean, obviously I've been diving just balls deep into all this stuff in the last little while. And I hear a lot about that mindfulness, you know, and I realize that it's a very broad term that encompasses a ton of stuff. But I'll tell you right now, that last minute and a half of explanation that you just gave me is what exactly should fit for me. Is take a second, think about it in the moment, and then if you want to do it. If you don't, you don't. But take the time to just think about it, because I'm good at that. I can't stop thinking about shit. So I might as well start thinking about shit that's important, you know, even on a small scale like that. Like, hey, man, should I have 7 ice cream sandwiches or just 5? You know?
I'll tell you the best tool for fucking dieting. I swear to God. No specific diet, no nothing, right? I'm not gonna say fucking paleo or keto or fucking whatever. There are apps that you can get on your phone. I use My Plate, where you can log your food and see your calories, right? Now, without making any intentional changes,
You will.
start logging down everything you eat, I guarantee you're gonna eat less.
You will. Because, and you know what? That's perfect for someone like me. Someone, you know how competitive I am with anything. I'm extremely competitive with myself. If I can see numbers that tell me what the fuck I did yesterday and I want to beat that, I'll beat that.
Yeah. Too often we ride on fucking autopilot, right? I mean, and it happens every day. You know, I'll drive into LA and like sort of snap out of it. Like I've been driving for an hour and I'm like, whoa, I'm already here. Like, how'd I get here? So fucking, I'm on fucking autopilot, and we do that, you know, and we do that with diet and things like that. But I'll tell you, anything that you want to fucking overcome starts with awareness. It starts with, why am I doing what I'm doing in this moment? You know what I mean? And if you can get that part down, I feel like you've got a head start on tackling it. You know, just the awareness around it.
Yeah. Hell yeah, I love it. Hey, that's awesome.
It's so fucking simple. You know what I mean?
You know, it's so simple that it almost seems like, wait a minute, that can't be right.
Right.
But yeah, dude, I think, you know, there's a lot of that in there that is right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It could be right for a lot of people. You know what I mean? Because everybody's so intent on making things hard on themselves. If it's not some fucking meticulous, crazy hard thing to do, then it's not worth doing. In people's minds. And I think that's an issue that a lot of people, especially with anxiety, struggle with, is that there's just so much everything. Slow it down, bring it back to basics, and just do what makes fucking sense. To you, not to anybody else. Do what makes sense to you, you know?
Well, and I'll tell you, especially now in the last fucking decade, we societally are cultivating you know, a mindless fucking peoples. We really are. You know, I've read sort of studies and things about how people's brains are changing because of the internet, you know, and just because
I guarantee it. Oh yeah.
It's become so hard for so many people to like sit and read an entire paper. But so there's advantages and disadvantages. They get really good at skimming and finding information really fucking fast, right? Everything's fucking boom, 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 boom. I've got like 18 tabs on my fucking computer open right now, right? So like, I'm trying to do emails and I'm like, you know, what's going on Facebook? You know, like, and just stimulus all the fucking time. Well,
it's an instant gratification fucking society.
Well, and what is it bearing? You know, you got all this shit. What is it fucking bearing? And we don't see it. We don't pay attention to it. But when you push and push and push, the shit comes out the sides. You know what I mean?
The shit's got to go somewhere.
Yeah.
You know,
push everything down, it's gonna come out the sides. And how does it come out the sides? It comes out the sides in our behavior.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
the way that we interact with each other.
Yeah. It may be that we experience it physiologically. We may get anxiety, we may get depression. Those are two like cornerstones, right? But it may just be that we become a little bit more agitated and fight with our significant other more. Or we become more critical and more judgmental of either ourselves or somebody else. There's a ton of things that it could be, you know, the symptoms might be coming up, but you know, my argument is that it's shit that we're shoving down, that we're not paying attention to. And we've made it really, really easy with just all the stimulus in the fucking world. We evolved in fucking forests with like you know what I mean? Like you had a directive and you had a community and you had this stuff. We didn't. This isn't normal. This isn't right for us.
as we came up through the you know, the ages, people had purpose. People don't have a lot of purpose anymore. Even people's jobs, you know, like there's so many jobs that are out there right now where you're just filling a seat. And literally, if you did your fucking best at that job, you would be done in 2 hours. But everybody has to have an 8-hour day. So, hey, I better stretch this out. And then all of a sudden you have a little bit less motivation, a little bit less purpose in life. And then that snowballs into your relationships. Oh, you know, it's
Well, and
Scary.
I don't know if I learned this in sociology class or read an article. I don't fucking remember. But even the 8 hour day is manipulative, and the weekends are manipulative. They've sort of there's actually studies that show that a 6 hour day is more productive.
I
Like you can actually
I would
get
100% agree with that.
right. But we go 8 hours and we go weekends off, and it has to do with sales. So because if you have the evenings and you have, especially the weekends, you work everybody really hard for the week. On the weekends, they're gonna relax. They're gonna cope with that by spending fucking money, you know. And
Wow, that is, yeah, dude,
yeah, we
that's
want them
crazy.
buying stuff, you know, like everybody lives for the weekend, you know, because you're working your ass off all week and you've got no purpose, right?
Yeah,
You're just
but you
punching.
definitely deserve, a reward for working so hard. So hey, this weekend, come down to
Yeah.
fucking the new water park and spend $400 on a fucking soda. You know, it's like
And you know, I'll tell you, 6 hours of fucking hard work is easier than 8 hours of killing fucking time.
it leads you
You
to
know?
having a better mindset too. I mean, I know, and I'm sure you know, I've worked jobs where I worked my dick off for 8 hours, and that was a fulfilling feeling. You know what I mean?
Right.
I've also had jobs where I could literally do 5 minutes of work and get paid for an 8 hour day.
Right.
And that was not fulfilling. That is mind numbing, and it makes you a zombie that has a much more difficult time in all aspects of life, whether it's relationships with people you love, critical thinking on anything, you know, and it's just, yeah.
Yeah, it just fucking drags on. It eats you alive.
Yeah.
You know? So it is sort of an interesting thing, and that's a whole fucking like other topic.
Okay. So, hey man, I think that this has been pretty, it's been really actually kind of fun and enlightening for me. There's a lot of things that I think I picked up. There's a lot of, things about especially this topic that I think are going to resonate with a lot of people, and hopefully we can get some questions from everybody. Like I'm going to put up the email address right now, right here on the screen. Make sure that everybody checks it out, and if you have any questions for us or comments, or you just want to tell us that we're crazy, do it. We'd love that, you know. But to end us off, I want to have maybe just Eric give us his final thoughts on the writing that he did, and maybe whatever else you want to say.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, very, very cool talking to you about this stuff. I feel like we could probably talk for fucking days.
Probably, yeah.
You
Well,
know?
we kind of have.
Yeah. On a subject like this, yeah, no, definitely. So it's really fun to do. I think we barely scratched the surface, if even that. But if I've got anything kind of closing, I've sort of said this in our first episode, but anything that I say, I'm not saying this is the end all be all. This is my opinion. These are tools, and I challenge anybody who's facing these kinds of things to just try things and see what works for you, what resonates for you. And yeah.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I've been doing. And you know, like I said earlier, this is me at the beginning of my journey trying to learn from somebody that has some experience in it, and hopefully give you guys some ideas on what could maybe help you, a path that you can maybe walk down. But so far it's been really great for me, and I hope it's been great for you guys. This has been Fighting the Stigma. I'm Chuck Allen.
Eric Buss.
Appreciate you, all of you.